Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I really can't say that on camera.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Cronos, which came out in 1993, written and directed by Guillermo del Toro. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for Cronos?
Well, the story follows an antiques dealer called Jesus who has come across a device known as the Cronos device. After being bitten by this device, Jesus starts to go through some dramatic changes in his body and starts to gain a taste for blood. He's also being chased by Ron Perlman and his uncle, who also want the device.
I've been a big fan of Del Toro ever since Hellboy.
Yeah.
That was the first film of his that I ever saw. And not many people were talking about Hellboy when it came out.
Yeah.
And, ever since that film, it was like, okay, well, if you like Hellboy, you should go and watch The Devil's Backbone.
Yes.
You should go and watch Pan's Labyrinth. You should go and see Cronos.
Yeah.
And, after working my way through his back catalogue, I've now seen almost every film that this director has made. And I think it's pretty clear to see how excellent a filmmaker he is from Cronos, which is his feature debut film.
Yeah.
And it would also be where he would become pretty good friends with Ron Perlman, working together on this film, and then in all of the later projects that they would come across. And, I've also been a big fan of vampire films.
Yeah.
And this is, kind of like Near Dark, where it's a vampire film where they never say the word vampire.
Yeah. I remember seeing this film a few years ago, and like you, we just come across Hellboy. It was absolutely brilliant, and everyone was just like, "Oh, you got to watch all of his past films." And so, managed to get myself a copy of Cronos, and I knew it was going to be kind of weird. It's Del Toro. I want to say weird, but he's got such a vivid imagination, and so when I sat down to watch this, the first thing that caught me was the backstory to the alchemist.
Yes.
This was it the 15th, 16th century guy, he's been chased out of his town and he has to construct this device. And then the narrator tells you 400 years later that they come across this body of this alchemist.
You see him there. I think must have been an earthquake or something, but it's brought the building down.
Yeah.
And he's got that piece of wood stuck in his chest, and
Staked,
I'm like,
basically.
He's been staked, yeah. But you look at him, you're like, okay, yeah, this, he's definitely pale, obviously a vampire, but he dies. But then the device that he was using is hidden in a statue,
yeah,
which surfaces when the film begins.
Well, we hear as well that the police went into the address that the guy was staying in, and we see that body hanging upside down, pools of blood around it, and so right from the start, you're like, okay, there's very strong hints of vampirism in this story. But like Gary said, they don't actually mention the word once.
No.
They don't even really discuss that that's kind of what you're doing.
It doesn't go into the mythology of it, with the crucifixes, the running water, or the sunlight. The sunlight does come into it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other vampire lore type things it's just not. It's not there.
Yeah, which is absolutely brilliant because so many directors decide to take their own unique view on vampire movies, and obviously this was just Del Toro's.
Del Toro worked on Blade 2
and
and gave us those freaky looking vampires.
Those were badass vampires.
And then of course more recently he did several seasons of The Strain, which was obviously based on the book that he'd also collaborated on.
Yeah.
And that was vampires again, but again
more like a virus.
More like a virus, yeah. But it's still lots of exploration, and there's a character in Cronos which is searching after the device so he can live forever, and he's a sick person, and that would also be like Ikehurst in the Strain TV series. He was an old dying person who's looking for eternal life.
Yeah.
And people looking for eternal life through vampirism is a common theme as well, I guess, in vampire lore as well.
Yeah.
Suo tempore. This was the alchemist.
We follow Federico Luppi playing Jesus. I try not to call him Jesus.
Jesus, yeah.
Jesus is obviously the way you pronounce it.
He's a pretty famous actor.
He's been working since, 1965?
Yeah.
And has got a filmography like I was looking through the list trying to look for films that I could pick up.
Yeah.
I'm like, most of these are in Spanish. I don't know if people would recognize them. So yeah, he's got a massive filmography, but you know, he's got this unique relationship as well in this film with his granddaughter Aurora.
Yeah.
You know, and you see them go to his shop, and they're just playing, you know,
Hopscotch.
yeah, they're just trying to get through the day. You know, I wasn't too sure if Jesus's shop was doing well or not. You know, it didn't seem like he was suffering.
It's not busy.
It's definitely not busy, but he's got such a wide range of antiques in there that you're like, you know, he's bound to at least sell something to somebody at some point.
Yeah.
And they have a visitor one day who comes in and...
Shady looking person.
Yeah, you're thinking he's going to steal something, but he sees this archangel statue, which we'd already seen at the beginning. And he's the person who gives the information to Angel, played by Ron Perlman, who's the... Well, his uncle is in charge of the Guardia construction firm or
something
delivery.
like that.
It's some kind of factory that they work in, and they have been searching for years.
Well, he's been sending Ron Perlman, who is essentially just a goon
Yeah.
in this film, to go and locate this statue. And of course, turns up that there is one of these statues in here. But before Angel comes back to get it, Jesus has been looking at the statue and is, you know, there's a hole in the face, which, you know, one of Del Toro's sort of signature moments is a bunch of roaches come climbing out of it. I'm like, oh, mimic.
Yeah. It's just like, those things have been sealed in there that whole time. You didn't think to clean it? How are you going to sell that?
But of course, he does find the Cronos device and takes it out of the statue. So when Angel turns up to come and get this statue, he kind of like, he's happy to sell it because he kind of knows I've taken what's out of there. Yeah. I like the fact that Ron Perlman plays an American in this.
Yeah.
Now, originally,
Weirdly.
he was supposed to speak, you know, Spanish.
Yeah.
But Ron Perlman's Spanish was so awful that Del Toro came up to him and went, look, you can't speak it. You sound like an imbecile. It sounds like you're deliberately butchering the language. So just speak in an American because it just makes sense now just to do it that way. I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it gives his character a bit more of a backstory. I mean, I kind of felt like, you know, that him and his uncle kind of are, I don't want to say gangsters, but, you know, maybe they're money lenders, maybe they're just they've definitely made money through intimidation and violence and things like that. And his uncle, Ron Perlman's uncle, played by Claudio Brook, you only see him briefly, but he's just imposing, he's intimidating. You know, he's always beating on Angel, and it seems like there's a violent backstory there for
Smacks
Angel.
him with that cane.
What is it with the nose?
It's just a running joke. You know, like when Angel's in the office and he's got all those cards with different noses, and he's like, "Which one? This one?
Yeah.
You like this one?"
It's like his nose has been broken so many times he wants it reshaped.
You like this one? No. No. ¿Y qué tal es? ¿Está?
But Jesus inadvertently uses the device and it cuts into his hand and holds on, and we get this kind of feeling later on when he gets home that it's kind of like a drug. You know, like he's had a taste and now it's infected him and he needs more.
But it's like it didn't quite finish the job it was doing. He kind of took it off before it had finished.
Yeah.
But he's also getting really thirsty. You see him at the fridge drinking all that water, and then he's just looking at that raw meat.
Yeah.
And, you know, as an audience, you're watching it and you're like, he's hungry.
He's
hungry, but he doesn't know what for. So he goes back for the device and kind of hooks himself back on. He takes the bandages off and hooks himself back up, and then you see that other claw just come in and pierce the flesh. Now, the special effects on the Cronos device, I think, are really great.
Yes.
But the close-ups of the flesh, not so great. It just, you know, when you get really close, I guess the palm of the hand, it just looks flaky. It just doesn't look like a real hand.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that when the camera goes inside the Cronos device and you can see this little horrible insect, like a slug type thing, just moving around in there, and all these giant cogs go, and I was like, we're definitely in Del Toro territory here.
Yeah, it takes me back to the Golden Army.
Of course.
I I loved as well trying to work out how this device works, because Dieter explains to us that it's like a filter. It takes all your blood out and then puts something else in its place. But to maintain that, you need blood. You need human blood. You can't live forever on cows and pigs, as he says. And so that's when you're just like, right, okay, so Jesus is going to start getting the thirst. We've already briefly seen it, but how much is he going to be able to hold it back? And you start to see him use the device a lot more kind of dangerously, because he puts it on his chest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where the hell did you get that fucking idea? It's not doing much on my hand, so I'm just going to slap it to my chest.
Closer to his heart, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
But when he wipes it away, there's no damage done and he's totally fine. But he does start to feel younger, and so he goes and shaves.
Yes.
He completely removes his facial hair, and he's talking to I think it's his wife.
Yeah, Mercedes,
yeah. And he's just like, do I look better now? Do I look younger? And he feels more vibrant and more alive.
And that was also kind of cool, because when he first cut his hand, he goes to her and she's doing the dance lessons.
Yeah.
And it seems like she's obviously trying to maintain her youthfulness.
Yeah.
And while he's growing old, and I don't know, is there a bit of resentment there that he feels like he's getting old and yet she's staying younger, and so he forces himself to use his device more?
Maybe
starts
on a surface level, maybe, but I think it's more of the addiction of the device that's got hold of him at the moment. And this film is also set around Christmas and New Year's Eve, and into the New Year, and I think it's the Christmas party that they're all going to.
Oh, it's New Year's Eve party.
Or it's a New Year's Eve party, and he's in the bathroom, and a gentleman comes out of the store and he's got nosebleeds, he's bleeding, blood going everywhere. And he eventually leaves, and Jesus is just looking at the blood on the counter side, and he's just like, I'm hungry. And he starts moving all the blood together so that he can get a good slurp at it before another patron comes in and just cleans it all off. And he's like, how disgraceful. And he walks off, but you notice that there's still another blood patch on the floor. And this is where, as an audience member, you're just like, don't do it. But at the same time, the vampire that's being born within him is just like, you haven't fed yet. You need sustenance. And so you're with him when he is flat on the ground ready to lick up that blood. You're kind of, it's a fucking toilet,
Yum yum yum.
he licks up that blood, and damn.
But he immediately also gets kicked in the face by Angel.
Yes.
They have realised they've been duped by him after they bought the statue, and they ended up raiding his shop looking for the Cronos device. And that was when Jesus went to Dieter, and we found out a lot of the information. And they thought they were getting the device from him then, but he'd given them their padlocks. So now Dieter and Angel are just like, well, fuck this guy. We're taking it from him. And Angel knocks out Jesus and takes him to this car. And Angel decides to drive the car over the cliff.
Yeah, I like the fact that it gets stuck.
Yeah, and he has to do like a football stance to be able to hit the back of it. Yeah.
And so he thinks he's killed him off, hasn't got the device, but we do see that Jesus has, of course, survived the crash.
Yeah, well, he's narrating out of his mind, isn't he? He's just like, all this blood, is mine. I can feel pain, but I'm not dead.
And he wakes up, and this is one of my favourite sequences. He wakes up at the coroner's, and the coroner is, it's sealing his mouth, put the bolts in his head, and is applying the layers of skin to make him look appropriate in the coffin. And that you forget that there are moments of comedy in the film when the other guy comes in and just goes, he's getting cremated. And it's like, I've done all this work. He's gonna get burnt.
Me hubieras dicho antes, y no lo pacho tan bonito al pendejo, Dios lo tenga en su gloria.
But Angel returns to his uncle, and his uncle's just like, you're a friggin' idiot. Why did you kill him? I didn't kill him. It was an accident. His car swerved. Did anything pierce his chest? No. Right, well, you need to go back there. Because Dieter knows that nothing can properly kill them unless, obviously, decapitation or burning the bodies and stuff like that. And so we're there at the funeral, and he's just looking at the body, just like, okay, I'll wait until till they're about to cremate you, and then I'll search you. But then when we cut to the coroner, and he's getting the furnace all ready, and there's a little bit of a distraction, so the coroner has to go off and set the fire, and when he comes back, he's throwing an empty coffin.
Yeah.
I got really confused at this point. Why was his suit on the wrong way round?
The backs of the suits are usually cut, because when you dress them in the coffin, it's not a full suit. So,
but when he got out, when Jesus was out looking through the bins, looking for stuff, I could see the shirt and the tie on his back, and obviously the jacket's on the front, and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure the suit was on the other way. I don't know if I missed something,
He has that phone call. He rings home.
Yes.
And there's no reply. And so did he just leave an answer machine message?
No, he speaks to Mercedes, or he says to Mercedes her name.
Oh, yes, that's right.
He puts the phone down, and then Aurora has heard this. And so when Jesus makes his way home, Aurora is there to greet him.
Yeah.
But you can tell she really loves her grandfather.
She must do, in order to be able to... she'd not be horrified
when
she sees the state he's in.
The weird thing is, she gives off this. The actress playing Aurora gives off this kind of emotion that she's partially afraid of what he's turning into, but she loves him so much that she won't leave him because in a way he'll be alone. And there's this whole missing backstory regarding her parents not being there that we're not actually privy to.
It's not a part of the main narrative of the film, and so it's just you just one of those things you just accept it. That's that. Something happened.
I totally accept it. It's just in my mind, something's happened that has brought this whole family together, and that's why he is so protective and so loving of Aurora that she recuperates that when he starts to obviously get into his issues, and then he gets home. And she clears out her toy box to be able, so that he can sleep in a coffin during the day because the sunlight comes along and really starts to burn him.
Yeah. And it's a really sweet moment. You then see her painting suns on the wall as she waits for him to rise from his toolbox.
That was kind of creepy, the way the lid
just flies open.
Opens up, and you're like, oh god, because you still know that he's hungry and he has to feed.
Yeah.
And there's always this point where you're just like, is he going to feed from his daughter?
He already lost the temptation to get on all fours and lick blood off a bathroom floor.
Yeah.
It's like, if he's gone that low, eating Aurora is like, he's past that point. He will do it.
Yeah, and he's purposely tying the device to his hand so he can really use it more and more.
Yeah.
But he also realizes that obviously Dieter and Angel are not going to stop. And he has to stop them, so he heads to their factory to confront them, and Aurora follows him, which is kind of lucky because he needs her a lot more in this section. If she wasn't there, he'd be fucked.
No te das cuenta que estamos en peligro.
And so he offers to trade the device to Dieter, who of course is quite happy to take it, but then he gets knocked down.
Well, Dieter says to him, I can show you the way out. Because Jesus has realized his mistake of using the device and what it's doing to him, and how he doesn't want to turn into what we would obviously condone as a complete monster, licking blood off a toilet floor.
Yeah.
And he says to Dieter, like, show me the way out and I'll give you the device. And the way out is to be stabbed in the heart and killed. And so Dieter tries to do that, heavily injures Jesus, and as he's about to deliver the final blow, Aurora comes from behind and just smacks him in the head with the cane that we've been seeing him use throughout the film.
Yeah, I just love it. It's one of those hero shots. That she's stood there with the cane. It's like, she's a badass.
Well, that's it. I was just like, she had to have been there because he needed her to climb through the service hatch.
Yeah.
He needed her to save him from Dieter. And
he also needed her, I guess, to save himself as well from the vampirism.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for her, he probably would have just embraced the darkness.
And just gone with it.
Which he does now when Dieter's laying there, blood pooling.
Well, there's a lot of blood coming out.
He feeds.
Yeah.
He jumps right in there and feeds on him.
It's at this point as well that Angel has heard that his uncle is kind of in trouble and heads up there and sees his uncle just lying on the floor bloodied.
But still alive.
But he's so happy. He's like, Merry Christmas! I've got everything. You know, I'm going to inherit all of this. And Dieter's is like, help me. And then he just stomps on him.
Well, he breaks his neck, doesn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
And just kills him.
You kept me waiting long enough.
But then he gets smacked as well by Jesus as they're trying to escape. And he's just like, my nose! Always my nose! And he chases Aurora and Jesus up onto the rooftop of their factory and just starts beating on Jesus.
Yeah. There's that great moment where he just grabs that metal pole, starts making his way up to him and starts beating him. And of course, Aurora's there. She's seeing all of this. And Jesus eventually just goes, he just grabs Ron Perlman and throws each other off the building.
Yeah, I mean, part of me was just like, is he wanting to die at that point, or does he know that he'll survive the fall?
I think he knows he had survived the fall, and he also wants to die. But so it's kind of like a win. There's no losing situation here for him. But at least taking out Angel to protect Aurora is a win here, and so he does.
It's kind of freaky though when he gets back up and he starts just ripping his skin off, and you see the white marble skin underneath.
Well, you already saw bits of it on his face.
Yeah.
And so, now you're just seeing the rest of it. And then, that's when he decides that he's going to smash the Cronos device.
Well, after he sees Aurora has cut her hand, and he sees the blood, and he feels the impulse to feed off of her, but he also knows that it's his granddaughter, and he has to stop himself.
Yeah.
And she delivers like her only line in the whole entire film at this one point, which I think is absolutely brilliant from Del Toro.
Yes. It's when you get to that point you realise that she hasn't said anything.
Yeah.
But she said so much.
And, and that's what my questions started coming up. Like, what did she see when she was younger that would stop her from talking? Or did Del Toro just go like, I don't want her to say anything through this film because it'll be more impactful when it gets to that moment.
Well, it's the fact that almost everything she does is her body language, her facial expressions, the way Jesus reacts to her. All of that just builds that relationship without the dialogue, which is really well done.
Which is really brilliant.
Well.
And it's at this point, like you said, Jesus decides that, he's had enough, and he destroys the device, even though he's already been warned by Dieter that destroying it will kill him.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
Not immediately.
Well, the film ends ambiguously, I feel. Really?
Not at all.
Not at all. See, I'm not entirely sure, because he's lying there in bed. Now, we already know that piercing the heart will kill him.
Yeah.
But we're not entirely sure that actually destroying the device will kill him.
It's the fact that, the daughter's called Aurora, which can be translated to Dawn.
Right, okay.
It's the fact that dawn is rising as the film ends. You can see, the light coming through the window. But not just that, the whole screen starts to white out almost.
Yeah.
And his hand also goes limp in her hand, and that is him dead.
Well,
he has died.
Yes, but vampires also sleep during the day. He could have just gone to sleep.
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure he's died.
Well,
without the Cronos device to sustain him, the fact that he's not drinking blood, I think he has died, and that is the perfect ending for this film.
Yeah. I mean, like I said,
I guess you could argue, but I think it's
I'm
a
not
weak argument. I think it's a weak
arguing.
argument.
I'm
Say
not
he's
arguing.
still alive.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It for me it leaves it to the point where you want his character to have died peacefully in bed with his family around him. And he's
earned that.
He's earned that. He's done the good deed. But then part of me is just like, what happens if he just bit those two and turned them into vampires? Live forever,
So I've got quite a few favourite sequences in the film. The watching Ron Perlman lose his shit when his uncle is dead. It is really over the top. Where he's hamming up like, yes, the inheritance is mine. Evil villain laugh. I'm just like, it's a little bit cringy, a little bit over the top.
It's Ron Perlman.
Exactly. I love Ron Perlman, Hellboy, Alien Resurrection. You put Ron Perlman in it, it's going to be good. He's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
The bathroom blood temptation.
Oh.
As soon as I think of Cronos, I remember that sequence. It's just like that's vampirism, like trying to reject it at the same time, trying to starve off the hunger.
Yeah.
All of the shots inside the Cronos device.
Yeah.
Seeing all of the cogs turning and the creature in the middle, the way it's lit, the way the camera works. I think sometimes, you can tell that it's like a set. It doesn't feel like you're inside a miniature.
No, it seems very large.
Yes, it does seem very large, but at the same time, I still really like it. I also really love the Cronos device, the way it's shaped like a scarab and everything else. And of course, the scene where he almost bites Aurora when she's got the blood trickling from her fingers, and that's his last temptation, really. And well, that's where he fights it.
Yeah. My favourite scenes, I've only got a couple, but like you said, the toilet licking scene is just brilliantly filmed. Everything's been building up. You're kind of wanting him not to do it, but then you think back to yourself. You're like, well, if you're put in that position, if you're a vampire and you haven't fed for a couple of days, where would you lick blood from? Fucking anywhere and everywhere, really. I also loved. Like I said, Ron Perlman's fucking awesome. I also love the sequences where he was sat in his room, and he sat in his room all quiet, and the buzzer goes off, and he's like, "Motherfucker, what the fuck? Who the fuck? Hello, Uncle. Angel, get up here. Okay, I'll be up there in a minute. Motherfucking fuck's sake."
Yes, Uncle.
Get up here immediately.
Motherfucking cocksucking son of a bitch, asshole, pendejo.
I want to know what happened.
You're right there.
Speaking of how awesome Ron Perlman is, Del Toro and him obviously become best friends.
Yeah.
But this production went over budget, and of course, not a very big budget at all.
Yeah.
Del Toro, first-time director, and so he had to go and take bank loans, go and borrow money, sourcing money anywhere he could in order to get the film finished. And he had to turn up to Ron Perlman and go, "Will you take a massive pay cut? Because I don't have enough money to pay to get the film finished." And Ron Perlman went, "No problem." Took a massive pay cut, still delivered all of his lines, still turned up all, and that's one of the reasons why they become best friends. It was a trust thing. It was like, trust me with our money, we're gonna make our careers and move on from this.
That's what I got from this film, because Ron Perlman, he's very young in this. He has not got the backlog of all the amazing characters that he's built up behind him. It's just. Like, I looked on Ron Perlman's filmography to see what he'd done before it, and there's like 3 or 4 really tiny, mediocre films that had come out, which we'll probably review at some point. But then seeing him in this and knowing what he would go on to, especially with the Hellboy series, I was just like, they must have worked so well with each other, and just like you said, taking a massive pay cut would do that. That Del Toro was just like, "I'm having you back."
Well, Ron Perlman was supposed to be one of the leading characters in The Strain, but unfortunately, other obligations couldn't do it. But they do work very well together. Do you know what Cronos actually means, other than God of War?
I was going to say, isn't he a child eater or something? Is it time?
It is time.
Yeah.
It is. Cronos is the personification of time in Greek mythology.
Yeah.
I think Cronos was also a name of a character in Bloody Roar.
Yeah.
The fighting game.
Yeah. Wow, I haven't played that game in a while.
But I definitely recommend Cronos. This, if you're a horror film fan, this belongs in your collection. This is one of those films that you have to see. It was submitted to the Oscars, but it wasn't ever nominated for any of the awards, which is a real shame. Although in Mexico it did win several film awards.
Yeah, I figured it would do.
Absolutely. It's a vampire film with intelligence and style. It's not particularly gory, but there's lots of blood. The film is really well paced and edited, and it is beautifully shot. I love the fantasy worlds that Del Toro creates. All the performances are great. Absolutely love Ron Perlman. The special effects are believable. The music is fitting in tone, and it matches the gothic approach of Del Toro's work. This is an absolutely easy recommendation for me.
Yeah. I recommend Cronos as well. Like Gary said, if you love horror, if you're a Del Toro fan and you've never seen it, you should definitely check it out. It probably doesn't have as much rewatchability as some films. You'll probably watch it the first time and then not go back and watch it for a couple of years, because there's not really any hidden messages in there, any secret things that you can miss the first time round. You know, a lot of the stuff Del Toro puts on the screen and you see it and you go, oh, whoa, what's that? It's only an hour and a half long and everything is so self-contained that you're just like, it's a great vampire movie.
Absolutely.
Done. Yeah.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
And everything is mine.